In the first 3 parts in this video series, we created an electronic audit record in FreeQMS. In part 1, the audit manager created an internal audit of a fictional company's operations procedures to the ISO 9001 standard, particularly Chapter 8 Operations. In part 2, a quality specialist performing the internal audit recorded 2 findings during the audit: a recommendation to combine company processes for suppliers and outsourced processes, and a nonconformance for the lack of an acceptance activities procedure. In part 3, the quality specialist worked to resolve the audit findings by attaching proof of resolution, including copies of change control documentation that showed the processes were combined and an acceptance activities procedure was produced. In part 4, the final video in our series, we're once again logged in as the audit manager. We're going to review and close the audit record using an electronic approval cycle. To close an audit record, we'll start by clicking the Audit module. From there, we'll select our example audit, 2020 Internal Audit ISO 9001 Chapter 8 Operations. We could also find this audit by going to the Tasks and selecting our Record Coordinator task. Let's perform a quick review. We can see that this is an internal audit where a logged-in user with Create, Edit, View permissions to the Audit module is the coordinator. The audit is currently open. FreeQMS has generated ID 6 for the audit, while we've given the audit a legacy identifier of A1002, and the record is stored in the global division for this example. Moving down, we can see the auditee is our company with associated information, and similarly, the auditor is our company with an internal audit. We can see the auditor remains independent because the quality specialist performing the audit will be auditing operations, a separate department. We should also review the audit agenda. This would be a great time to update dates, and rest assured any updates will be recorded to the history. A good example is an audit closing meeting that was delayed. Moving over, we see the audit scope. This has not changed during the audit. This is an audit of the company's operations procedures to ISO 9001 Chapter 8. Let's scroll up and review any findings during this audit. We will click the Audit Activities tab. Here we can see 2 findings recorded during the audit: a recommendation to integrate outsourced processes list into the approved suppliers list, and a nonconformance for the lack of an acceptance procedure. Both are closed. We will click and review the recommendation first. We'll quickly review the audit activity. We can see that this is a recommendation, it's currently closed, and that the short description was to integrate outsourced processes into the supplier process. This was assigned to our quality specialist. Scrolling down to activity details, we see the details of this recommendation. The organization documents and controls outsourced processes through one process, and suppliers through another. The recommendation is to combine the 2. At the bottom, we can see the evidence of the resolution of this activity. There's a change order attached that shows obsolescence of the current outsourced processes procedure, and an update to the supplier procedure to integrate this process. Let's scroll to the top and select Audit Activities again. We will click and review the nonconformance next. Let's quickly review this audit activity. We can see this is a nonconformance. It's currently closed, and that the short description says the company is lacking an acceptance activities procedure. This was assigned to our quality specialist. Scrolling down to activity details, we see the details of this nonconformance. The organization lacks an acceptance activities procedure as required by ISO 9001 Chapter 8 Operations. On the right, under Notes, we can see the specific clauses calling for this procedure. At the bottom, we can see the evidence of the resolution of this activity. There's a change order attached that shows the creation of a new acceptance activities procedure. There's a separate attachment for training records showing employee training to the new procedure. Let's scroll up. At this point, we can perform any additional review or attach any more files generated during this audit. For the sake of our example, we're finished with our review and ready to close this electronic record. Let's click the Approvals tab. We'll click Add an Approval Cycle to close this open audit record to start the electronic approval cycle. We can complete this form to create an approval cycle. The title will be Final Approval to Close 2020 Internal Audit ISO 9001 Chapter 8 Operations. For comments, we'll say, please perform final review and close. For approvers, we'll select our logged in Audits Manager and our Quality Specialist who performed the audit activities. Now we can click Create. Great, now we've created an approval cycle. Since we're already logged in as our Audits Manager and we've performed a review, we can go ahead and approve this cycle by clicking the Approve or Reject button. We'll complete the approval page to give our electronic signature. Here we can enter our password for the logged in user. And in comments we'll say, Review performed by Audits Manager as representative of QA. Now we can click the Approve button. Great, we've approved the record with our electronic signature. As we can see in the upper right, however, the record is still routing for approval as one more signature is required. We can click Log Out in the upper right corner, take a quick break, and return logged in as our Quality Specialist. And welcome back. After a quick break, we're logged back in as our Quality Specialist. We can use the Audits icon to locate the record we need to approve, but instead we'll use the Task Center to find the system-generated approval task that we were assigned. Let's click the Task Center now. Here we can see our italicized system-generated task to approve this record. The Task Center is a convenient way to locate everything we're working on in FreeQMS. Let's click this task. Once again, we'll fill out the resulting form with our password, comments if any, and finally click the Approve button. And great, this audit record is approved. This concludes our 4-part series on tracking electronic quality system audits with FreeQMS. We hope you enjoyed and found helpful instruction over the course of these videos. Feel free to subscribe to the FreeQMS YouTube channel for more helpful information on the performance of electronic quality management.